There's a lot of good stories about the community house. It's an institution like no other. The canyon's always been interesting. I mean, if sociologists want to study a real microcosm of the world, they should go to Topanga. I think the idea of being kind of out in the woods and not really too far away from anything appeals to a certain mindset, and they come to Topanga. And if there's a fire or a flood, it's kind of a self-pruning society. If people can't take it, they leave. And if they can deal with it, they stay.
You know, most people come up here and they last a year or so and they go. But he says the ones that stay put down roots and their kids stay. That's really important. Many of the kids that grew up in Topanga either come back a lot or stay. Now, how many communities do you know like that?
Really, there were so many volunteers who worked so very hard, and there were so many meetings. I mean, that's what we did. That was our life. It was also some of the most enjoyable time that we ever had, and you know, I mean, the volunteers were just really terrific. They really were, and people really did come together.
In those days, remember, we're talking like 50 years ago, women stayed home and men worked. So most of the men were out of the canyon. There wasn't, you know, too much business in the canyon. And so the women ran the women's club and did most of the work and the volunteering and everything else. And the men were out of the canyon, came home, and they didn't want to go out at night and do stuff. Of course, on Saturdays and Sundays, they came and built the community house. Times were different, and not better, just different.
Going back to that era, the building was up, the walls were up when I first saw it. There was no roof and there was no floor. They did raise the money to put the roof on. Some people mortgaged their houses to come up with the money to put that roof on. That's how serious they were about it. This canyon has supported that place pretty well since the gift of the property. I got dragged into the Lions Club kicking and screaming, and then I said, well, you know, it's kind of fun. The main purpose of the Lions Club in Topanga, beside the fundraising activities that we did, was to support the community house.
Aside from being very involved in the with the Women's Club and the Advisory Council and all that stuff, there were ultimate weddings, or endless, I should say, weddings and parties. Some of the weddings were pretty bizarre. The TCC events were numerous. We, I say, but it was really mostly me because I was the one who had more time than Richard. And it was just, you know, check the restrooms, stock the restrooms, you know, make sure everything was in order and the preschool would meet. And then after the preschool left, then it had to be mopped, and I would check on the mopping or whatever, and then it was always making sure that everything was in shape when groups were coming in and checking up on them afterward. And most of the stuff we did was volunteer stuff.
To tell you the truth, if I go up there, I get hives. I have swept that floor 100 times. I have helped to put the chairs away 1,000 times. I never want to do that again.
We had more fun with Canyon Capers. It was a variety show, fun little skits and stuff, you know, with all Canyon talent, you know. Some talent not so, but that was fun. And we raised money, not a lot, but some. Every time, enough to buy a little bit of this or a little more of that, or some paint or more cupboards.
About 1986, we started working on the idea of a ball field. And Tom Hodgson had figured out that maybe with a little bit of quiet sculpting, they could get room enough in there for a ball field, and managed to do it. So then it was work party after work party after work party. Richard, every single weekend, now Richard worked a full day every week, and he spent all of his weekends working on the stuff for the ball field and the community house, and as a result, so did I. And then, of course, there were work parties that went on afterward when we had to put up the fence. You know, everything was a step. They put up the fence, and then, you put up the post for the fence, and then you put up the fence, and then you put up the netting that went up above that. And that was all stuff that had been donated from some used golf course, and it was all in various shapes and pieces, and it had to be spliced together. So, you know, a lot of people, a lot of time, but a wonderful experience.
It all started with a guy named, I guess it was Burkell, who had a Topanga Days operation going when I first came here. He would drive up and down the streets on the day of the event and say, put on your hammers and saws and come to Topanga Days. This is your day. And he'd get a loudspeaker of that truck and drive the whole canyon crazy. And we had, you know, a very informal operation going. And then Catherine Penny decided that it would be fun to do a strawberry festival. We started doing an increasingly complex strawberry festival. And that's when Jan Moore decided that maybe we ought to find another way to run that operation. So she and a bunch of friends of theirs formed a group called the Topanga Creek Yacht Club. And everything they did was kind of a joke. But they were serious about doing Topanga Days, so they went back to calling it Topanga Days, like Burkell had.
The Topanga Creek Yacht Club and then Trans-Topanga Airlines, my son Mike thought up. Ski Topanga was Jimmy Gaines's, and then Topanga, London, Paris, Rome, and whatever else ones we had. But Topanga Creek Yacht Club was the beginning of it and the most fun. We sold them at Topanga Days, the women's club, t-shirts and sweatshirts.
In the long run, it was a good thing because Topanga Days grew the way that the expenses were growing. The Moores did it better every year, and they asked the Lions Club to help them with the games. So as the years went on, we streamlined it, and the games evolved.
The community house needed money. It was in debt. The women's club was in debt, having put in the new road and the roof, and had borrowed a good deal of money and needed a way to raise money other than, we did dinners, we did bake sales, we tried everything. And finally we said, well, why don't we let's try something called a craft fair. We have all these artists in the canyon, why not a craft fair? So we had the first Topanga Craft Fair, I think it was 73 or something. And my friend Myra Shegloff said, you need more and better crafts. Lois Mason came and said, you need music. So the next day it became Topanga Days Country Fair and just grew from there. That was either 73 or 74. And it just got bigger and bigger and better and better. We had all these, they call it zany contests, and it was like the horse pucky chuck, one of my favorites, and the lemon eating contest and the cracker whistle. You know, we had everything from the popcorn punt to, I mean, you name it. It was just anything dippy that people could think of. The parade started out as the Topanga Times. Down at the bottom it says, you know, Topanga Days, and we want to have a parade. If you want to be in the parade, show up at the post office at 10 o'clock on, I guess it was Memorial Day, Monday Memorial Day, whatever it was. And so I went down there at 9:30, nobody there. I went, oh shoot, you know, but just before 10 o'clock, horses, bicycles with flowers and crepe paper, and by gum, we had our first parade, and it just grew from there. Of course, you know, people came with, I mean, they invented floats. Oh, geez, we had fun.
Look at that.
Almost time for the parade. It's going to be our 5th I've Seen Fire and I've Seen Rain survival parade. There's a party every day around here celebrating something. And if we're not celebrating something, we're having a benefit concert for something to raise money for a fire victim or a flood victim or to help the community house. And it's just wonderful. Everybody gets together from all walks of life. Some people are carpenters and some people are school teachers, and they mix with the musicians and the artists and the actors and the nuts. And we all get together and have a party.
Okay, have somebody stand there. Why don't you, man? Why don't you sit right there? Stand this way. Sticking out.
Big question. Nobody's ready for the big question yet. The big question is, are you ready?
memories are what you have when everything is done, let's face it, you know. Topangans will the squabble forever, but they'll come together when there's a perceived threat to the group, which is, like I said, a real study for any sociologist who wants to see a microcosm of the world.
Topanga Days. What?
Topanga Days.
Topanga Days.
Welcome to Topanga Days.
When summer comes and passes, the snow is on the ground. Clothes don't keep you warm enough. Roam from town to town, seasons changing. Don't let it bring you down. Don't let it bring you down. When you wake up in the morning, there's ashes on the ground. You know something? I love you, brother. Time's changing. Don't let it bring you down. Don't let it bring you down. Now the waves that come a-rolling from 1,000 miles away, building, days on end, quickly washed away. Time's changing. Don't let it bring you down. Don't let it bring you down. When your dreams have all been dreamt, you're lying on the ground, and things you built up yesterday have all been broken down. Times are changing. Don't let it bring you down. Don't let it bring you down. Don't let it bring you down.
It's not my problem, it's not my fault, it's not my job, and it's not my problem. It's not my fault, it's not my job, and it's not my problem.